Good evening and welcome. Tonight is Monday, August 26, 2024. This is a regular meeting of the Minnetonka City Council. I will call this meeting to order and ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. England, would you please call roll?
Calvert.
Here.
Romaley.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Foster Bolton.
Here.
Shack.
Here.
Wilburn.
Here.
Wearsome.
Here. Next item is approval of the agenda, and it appears that we have an addendum. Mr. Funk.
Thank you, Mayor Wearsome. Good evening, Council. 2 items for your consideration on tonight's addenda. The first is related to item 14A, items concerning Amira Villas at 901 Carlson Parkway. Staff received a letter from the developer after the publication of the staff report that went out last Thursday, and so you have a copy of that as part of the addenda. And then the second item is related to 14B, which is a concept plan for Inland Development Partners for residential development of the existing property at 11800 Wayzata Boulevard. The developer requested to remove this item from the agenda. We received notice as staff after the publication of the packet. So those are the 2 items, Mayor and Council, for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Need a motion for approval of the agenda. Councilmember Wilburn.
I move approval of the agenda as amended.
And a second, Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Calvert. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert.
Yes.
Romaley.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is special matters, next item is approval of minutes. And we have 2 sets of minutes. One is the July 29th, 2024 regular meeting minutes, and the second is the August 5th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. I think we can do the 2 together. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval of the July 29th, 2024 and the August 5th, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second? Councilmember Romaley.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Romaley. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert.
Yes.
Romaley.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is special matters, and we do not have any special matters tonight. Then is item 7 is reports from city manager and council members. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Funk.
Again, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. A couple things for your consideration this evening. First, some exciting news on the fire department personnel front. This last week, on August 21st, the Minnetonka Fire Department welcomed 5 new firefighters and recognized several promotions at a badge pinning ceremony. City Attorney Karine Heine was there administering the oath of office and wished congratulations to our 5 newest promotional firefighters, and then certainly special recognition to also the official announcement and pinning of our new assistant fire chief that evening. So that was a great event, a short event here last Thursday. There's about 70 members of family present for that event. And then also want to mention that even though it's really warm outside, I think someone mentioned the heat index being over 100, that tomorrow is the final night of the Music in the Park in our season. We're featuring the band Free and Easy and their pop playing band, music from the 70s to today. And again, that evening's tomorrow. Also want to thank our staff for all their work this last season, putting together our events and our bands and our performances in our Music of the Park. Then also want to mention that we have registration for the Minnetonka Police Academy is now open. It's a really popular event. It's a go behind the scenes look with our Minnetonka Police Department this fall. This is a 9-week course open to the Minnetonka community. The academy covers a variety of topics, including investigations, crime analysis, forensics, canine, or crime prevention, traffic and emergency response. We are starting this on Wednesday, September 25th through November 20th. Those events start at 6 o'clock p.m. and anyone that's interested should go to our website to register. In terms of Public Works, we do have a couple announcements related to some work that's happening around the city. The northbound 494 ramp off the Minnetonka Boulevard will be closed starting 9 a.m. on Thursday, August 29th. It'll reopen that same day, but certainly want to let folks know that that ramp will be difficult on August 29th. And then also the eastbound Highway 12 ramp off Carlson Parkway will be closed on Tuesday, August 27th from 9 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. And we are putting out notices through our social media channels so residents are aware of that. And then last one, I mentioned that our Natural Resources Division is collaborating with 9 Mile Creek Watershed District to manage invasive species which were recently found in Shady Oak Lake, which is unfortunate. They've been talking about a herbicide treatment that will take place this upcoming spring. There'll be a lot of outreach to residents in and around Shady Oak Lake, so they're aware of that procedure, and certainly spot treatments and other evaluation will occur in future years. So with that, Mayor and Council, turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. Council members, any reports that you would like to make? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to congratulate the fire department on the 5 new recruits and the promotions. That's very exciting. And I just wanted to mention that last week I attended the second of 3 League of Minnesota Cities Improving Services Delivery Committee meetings. And the topics were emerald ash borer, which I'm sure most of us have been noticing the many dead trees, and just talking about how the state, we had someone from the state come and talked about what the state is trying to do, the kind of funding that they are providing, and where that kind of funding is going. And then the other topic was emergency medical service. So the way the state law is right now, the service areas are pre-decided, and cities don't have any authority to change their service providers. And there are some issues, that have been cropping up in terms of response times in the West Metro. There have been issues about transparency from some EMS organizations, and so it was just good to get some issues out on the table and start addressing in a very real way the issues that are hampering EMS, not just here but all over the country. There was some discussion about what the state has done to fund EMS in rural Minnesota, but I wanted to make sure that the suburbs and the metro area are also not forgotten. So there will probably be continuing conversations with some of our legislators on that coming up, and it's just a very important topic because public safety, especially when it comes to the health of our residents, is of primary importance to us as elected officials. So just wanted to get people up to speed on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvert. Other reports from from city council members? Councilmember Shack.
Thank you, Mayor. I have been participating in the League HR and Data Practices group, and we've had couple good meetings talking about some of the implications and making sure that everybody's covered as it relates to sick and safe leave, and some of the changes in the legislature, also how that relates to our contract employees, all of the nuance in that, and then also talking about some of the work that's been done to address issues with disability claims for public safety folks, and how we make sure things are covered. It's been very informative and a new committee for me, and I've been appreciative of the time that I've been able to be there.
Thank you, Councilmember Shack. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we will move on. Item 8, the next item, is citizens wishing to discuss matters not on the agenda. So this is an open mic opportunity for anyone who would like to speak to something that is not on the agenda. And so if you have something, please come forward, state your name and address, and let us know what you want to know. or what you want us to know. I will tell you that no action will be taken on this item tonight. We will just take the information, and then we will move on to the next agenda items. But if anyone would like to speak to us, please come forward and do that, and please provide your name and your home address. So is there anyone who would like to speak to us on an item not on the agenda? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Tim Stender. I office out of the St. Paul Regional Council at 700 Olive Street in St. Paul, Minneapolis, 55130.
Great, thank you.
I work with the North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters. The NCS RCC represents 27,000 construction workers and their families in the upper Midwest. The bulk live in Minnesota and many live within Minnetonka. Our organization is at the forefront to deter labor exploitation, misclassification, human trafficking, and other activities on construction sites. We have tracked in detail those who work on construction sites in the Twin Cities metro area for the last decade. I am here regarding the United Properties proposal that passed through the Planning Commission a few weeks ago.
Excuse me, but that is on the agenda tonight, so this is for items not on the agenda, so there will be an opportunity to speak to that.
Would you like me to wait and report?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on items not on the agenda tonight? Is there anyone? Mr. Funk, did I misdirect this individual because it's so I just want to make sure that I cut him off, but I want to make sure that I'm being appropriate with this. If we're going to take public comment on the agenda item, then we didn't want to take it twice. So what's your recommendation?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, Council. I think, correct, Mayor, in our council rules of procedure, it's clearly outlined that if there's an agenda item, as you indicated, that someone wants to speak to, there's time later for that to occur. So I think you instructed the speaker correctly. As you indicated, items, so anyone that has an item not on the agenda, which I think you were clear about, that this would be the opportunity for them to come forward.
Very good. Thank you. So is there anyone else who has an item that you'd like to make the council aware of tonight? All right, seeing no one, we will move on. Next item is bids and purchases, and we have none of those tonight. And so item 10 is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is made up of items that are typically routine. And so I will read them into the record. And if anyone, either in the audience or on the council, would like to pull an item for further consideration, please indicate that. We'll pull that item. Then we will continue and vote on the items that are remaining, and then allow whoever pulled the item to address that item. So I will read these into the into the record. So item 10A is a conditional use permit for a detached accessory dwelling unit at 4329 Wilson Street. Item 10B is a conditional use permit for a child care facility at 10297 Yellow Circle Drive. Item 10C is the final plat of Elevare, previously 1 acre Oaks, at an 8-lot subdivision at 2511 and 2615 Plymouth Road. And item 10D is a resolution for the water treatment plant, number 16, Variable Frequency Drive Replacement Project. So would anyone like to pull anything? Councilmember Calvert?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to pull item 10C just to make a comment.
All right, very good. Is there anything else need to be pulled? All right, then is there a motion on the remaining items? Councilmember Wilburn.
I move approval of consent agenda items 10A, B, and D.
Is there a second? Councilmember Coakley.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Coakley. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert,
Yes.
Romalee,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. So that takes us back to item 10C. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, this is on the consent agenda, which means that it's something that is generally a routine vote. And this is a routine vote because the developer had proposed what we call a fully conforming proposal. And I just wanted to say that, you know, there are legal constraints to voting no on projects like this. Nevertheless, and I felt compelled to vote yes for that reason in previous vote on this project, but it is still a project that makes me deeply unhappy. There are some things that I like about it, but the tree loss, some of just the drastic changes to the green space there and the grading and so forth, I just don't know that this is the highest and best use. And so I'm just registering a comment about it because I feel legally bound to vote yes. And this is an instance where I am deeply unhappy with the project that I will vote yes on.
And given your deep unhappiness, are you willing to make a motion nonetheless?
I will make a motion to approve item 10C.
Is there a second? Councilmember Shack?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Shack. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert,
Yes.
Romalee,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Item 11 is consent agenda items requiring 6 or 5 votes, and we have none of those tonight. So item 12 is introduction of ordinances, and we have one ordinance that will be introduced, and that is an ordinance repealing section 925.070 relating to license for veterinary hospitals. And Captain Rachel Meehan will provide that report. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to introduce an ordinance that seeks to amend the Minnetonka City Code by repealing section 925.070 and its associated fees. Currently, that section requires that veterinary hospitals obtain an annual license from the police department following an inspection and a $125 fee. When this ordinance was first enacted, veterinary hospitals often served as boarding facilities similar to commercial kennels and were regulated accordingly. However, times have changed, and today most veterinary hospitals no longer provide boarding services. In fact, none of the veterinary hospitals in Minnetonka actively board dogs or cats. Their kennel areas are now used solely for temporarily housing the animals that are undergoing or awaiting treatment. Given this shift, the inspections of these facilities have become largely redundant. The majority of health and safety standards that we currently inspect are already regulated by OSHA, the Board of Animal Health, and the Board of Veterinary Medicine. This makes our inspections unnecessary. It is important to emphasize that this ordinance only applies to veterinary hospitals. It will not impact our commercial kennel licenses or multiple animal permits, which will still require annual inspections. This is simply an introduction to the ordinance, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. If I don't have the answer this evening, I'll research the question and follow up with you. If the ordinance does get approved tonight, it will be forwarded for adoption at the next council meeting on September 9th. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Captain Meehan. Our council, any questions for Captain Meehan? I think your report was pretty clear, so thanks so much.
Thank you.
So, council, this is an introduction, so it will come back to us. We'll have another bite at the apple, but would somebody like to make a motion? Councilor Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make the motion to introduce the ordinance repealing section 925.070 relating to license for veterinary hospitals.
Is there a second? Councilmember Wilburn.
I will second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Wilburn. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert,
Yes.
Romalee,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is public hearings, and tonight we have none of those. Item 14 is other business, and the 14A is items concerning Amira Villas, a residential townhome development at 901 Carlson Parkway. And the staff report will be made by Ms. Wishnack. Oh, excuse me. Ms. Thomas, excuse me. Oops.
Thank you, Mayor and council
Hey,
members.
excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Funk, you had a...
I'm
you were
sorry,
fill
Mayor
in
and
the bu-
Council.
the
No, I'm sorry,
blanks.
Mayor and Council. I know we got some good steam going on our next agenda item. I just want to mention that staff is monitoring the weather. We're in a severe thunderstorm kind of watch and warning situation. So we're minding the weather. We do have shelter. In case that we need to take shelter, we would proceed downstairs to the community center. So we'll continue to actively monitor it. Just wanted to give you that heads up in case we signal that we need to do something. So
Right.
sorry for the interruption, Mayor and Council. We'd like to proceed with
Well,
the agenda.
Thank
item.
thank you, Mr. Funk. Ms. Thomas's report is very important, but I think your safety message was important to interject first. So, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The 2.3 acre parcel before you this evening is really the last vacant site in the Carlson Center development, and in the Minnetonka portion, at least, of what is a much larger 328 acre development that has taken place between the cities of Plymouth and Minnetonka since the late 1980s. The property itself was part of a two-phase master development plan that was submitted by United Properties back in 2020, reviewed and approved by the council that same year. Phase 1 of that master development plan was a 186-unit, 55 and older apartment building, and Phase 2 was a 136-unit hotel. Phase 1, as you know, has been completed. We now refer to that as Amira Minnetonka. Phase 2 has not been completed, and that property remains vacant. You'll recall that this spring, United Properties came forward with a concept plan to change the use of that vacant site from the approved hotel to a 28-unit rental townhome development, kind of an Amira 2, if you will. Generally, Planning Commission and council members' comments regarding that conceptual residential use of the property were positive, though some members expressed interest in seeing some higher densities and enhanced sustainability practices on the property. United Properties is now presenting their formal development plan for your consideration. The formal development proposal includes a total of 30 townhome units occupying 8 buildings. So this is a slight increase in the total number of units, but a decrease in the number of buildings from the concept. The buildings themselves would be situated around a central access drive and would have facades comprised of brick, metal siding, and cement fiber panels. The quality and design of these materials would really complement those used in Amira and would reflect the investment and architectural character of the area. Units within each building would range in size from just over 1,300 square feet to just under 2,000 square feet. Would you like me to pause, Mr. Mayor?
Well, we're hearing sirens. I don't
Yeah.
know, Mr. Funk, we'll turn to you and see if you have any new information for us.
I would suggest, Mayor, let's maybe take a 5-minute recess. We're going to just check with our emergency management coordinator
Okay.
right now. So,
All right, let's
thank
do
you.
that. Thanks. I'm looking. Try this. It turns on. Can you? Oh, you got me now? Okay. All right. So we will reconvene. This recess was a little unusual. We haven't done this very often, but thank you for bearing with us, and I'm glad that we kept everyone safe. And so I believe Ms. Thomas you can just start over if you want. And we are talking about Amira Villas, a residential townhome development at 901 Carlson Parkway. And Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor Wiersum. I'm not going to go back to the very beginning, but maybe I'll start with the proposal that's before you this evening. if that's all right with you.
That's
Okay.
just fine.
United Properties is presenting here tonight the formal proposal for your consideration. It includes 30 townhome units occupying 8 buildings, which is an increase from what you saw at the concept plan of total units, but a decrease in total buildings. The buildings themselves would be situated around a central access drive. They would have facades comprised of brick, metal, siding, and then cement fiber panels. These materials, their quality, their design would really complement those used at Emera and would reflect the investment and architectural character of the area. Units within the building would range in size from just over 1,300 square feet to 2,000 square feet. 2-bedroom units would have 2 dedicated parking stalls, 1 interior stall, and then 1 space in the driveway. Whereas the 3-bedroom units would have, or the 2-bedroom plus den, would have 2 interior garage spaces and then 2 spaces in driveways. With existing visitor parking, which is shown here in this illustration on the right-hand side of this illustration, but which also actually already exists along the east side as visitor parking, this proposal would certainly exceed the city's parking requirements. As required under the city's affordable housing policy, the applicant is proposing 3 affordable units. They are not requesting any city assistance to achieve that affordability at this time. The units themselves and their residents would have access to all of the Emera the Emera apartments outdoor amenities that are currently existing. Tree preservation on the overall site would be consistent with our tree preservation ordinance, and stormwater management would be provided via an underground chamber, similar to what was provided to the north with the apartment building, and that would meet certainly all of the city's stormwater management rules. This proposal is considered a high-density residential development. It would be 13 units per acre. As defined in our comprehensive guide plan, low density is development up to 4 units per acre. Medium density is 4.1 to 12 units. And then high density is anything between 12.1 all the way up to 100 units. And you can see here some different types of housing within those different density ranges that staff just pulled from Minnetonka today. The subject property is actually designated mixed use, which means that from a comp plan designation, any or all of these types of residential densities would be allowed on the property. The applicant's proposal requires approval of 3 things. First, a major amendment to the existing master development plan to go from that approved hotel use to this high-density residential use. Then it requires approval of the site and building plans with a floor area ratio variance from 0.75 to 0.83. We did have some questions about floor area ratio, so I just wanted to talk about that for just a minute. Floor area ratio, or sometimes what we call FAR, is the total floor area or the total square footage on a property divided by the total area of that property. And as is shown in the illustration on the right-hand side, or what I was trying to show in the illustration on the right-hand side, is that FAR doesn't have anything to do with the configuration of the building. It's just the square footage of a building. So a multi-story building with a very small footprint could have the same FAR as a 1-story building with a very big footprint. The Phase 2 hotel included in the existing master development plan had a 0.82 FAR, so basically 0.01 less than what is being proposed here. It would also need an FAR variance were it to come to site plan review. To eliminate the FAR variance, an applicant would have to either reduce the square footage of the buildings on the property or would have to increase the size of the property. Staff supports this proposal and those three requests. In staff's opinion, the use is appropriate since the adoption of the very first Carlson Center Master Development Plan way back in 1983. A variety of uses have been envisioned in the area. This use would certainly complement that existing residential use to the north, and it would also complement the office uses that are already existing on the campus. Further, basic planning principles would suggest that this higher density residential use is appropriate in proximity to major roadways. We think the site plan design is reasonable. The townhomes are appropriately dense, but also appropriately spaced and set back from the common spaces to the north. There are sidewalks and trails proposed throughout the site to connect to existing sidewalks and trails on the Carlson campus. In our opinion, the building design is attractive. And finally, the FAR variance is reasonable. It would be similar to what was already shown at the hotel. It would be less than what is at the building to the north. And to be quite honest, basic planning principles of today would suggest that the limit that we applied to FAR 40 years ago in the zoning code, especially in proximity to major roadways, it just isn't appropriate. It's one of many things we hope to see fixed as we look at our zoning ordinance in the future. So to conclude then, we think that this is a land use proposal that's before the council this evening, and from a land use perspective, we as your planning staff think that the proposed amendment is reasonable, the buildings again are attractive, and that the FAR variance itself is reasonable. So in staff's opinion, we think this would be an enhancement to the area and really kind of finalize, if you will, the Carlson Center. So we do recommend approval with those findings and with the conditions that have been provided to you in the ordinance and resolution. And I would turn it back to the mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Council, any questions for staff regarding their proposal that they just reported on? Anyone? Any questions? Otherwise, I think it's appropriate for us to ask the applicant to come forward and make your comments. Welcome. Provide your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Dave Young. I'm with United Properties. I also have with me tonight Janelle McLean, ESG Director with United Properties as well. She'll have a little portion of the presentation in just a few minutes. On behalf of our entire team, I want to thank you for your consideration of our application this evening. I also want to extend a thank you to the entire planning department for their support of the project, their collaboration over the basically several months that we've been working on this project. If I may take the controls here, is that accurate? Thank you very much. So as you see before you, a nice clean rendering that we've updated since the last time you've seen this project. I won't go into too much detail as a lot of this is being repetitive from not much has changed necessarily from the concept meeting, planning commission meeting. I do want to highlight a few items that, the basic adjustments that we've made to this application are a direct result of the feedback that we've received from planning commission and from the council throughout the opportunities that we've had. We do propose 8 3-story buildings. That's down from 9 buildings. We have increased the number of units from 28 to 30 units. It's important to note that we have maximized the density that we can provide on this site, and that is largely driven from the design of the units. With the tuck-under garages, the way that these are designed, the two-car garages, that really puts limits on the amount of footprint that we can expand or even go up for that matter, because the garages drive the amount of living space, the amount of units that we can have above it. So as you can see on the revised site plan here, we feel that we've done our best to maximize the units while not reducing the unit sizes. We have that unique design as far as the garage goes, which is really sought after in this market. Having private attached garages to your home in this type of environment is really attractive. Also want to note that as it relates to the density, there is a private restrictive covenant that encumbers this site, and we are providing 75% of the maximum density allowed under that covenant to begin with. Another item worth noting as far as density is we have avoided shadowing impacts to the building to the north. Right? Anything going vertical, you start having encroachment from a shadow impact on the amenity space to the building to the north. As mentioned, we have 20 guest stalls on the east side of the property, sidewalk connectivity to Amira and to the larger trail system throughout the Carlson property, the master plan over there. And then we've included what was originally just a little stormwater pond on the southwest corner. We have changed that to be an amenity patio and moved all the stormwater underground. I'll take a quick opportunity just to kind of highlight this amenity space because we think it's very important. It does provide some green space around the area, but more importantly, it provides some of the high-use amenities that we see at the Amira Villas, being barbecue grills, just areas to congregate and seat as a community, fire table, water feature. These are things that we're proposing to be on that amenity. So very nice, well-landscaped, very attractive spot for the community to gather. Jumping into the units, the proposed units are very similar to what you've seen before, relatively large units. The largest unit that we offer at Amira Minnetonka, the property to the north, is just over 1,400 square feet. Here we're starting at 1,500 square feet and going all the way up to 2,200 square feet. That is with the addition of the ground floor flex room and mudroom, which is a little bit larger than what was noted in the staff report. But it is dedicated space for those residents. One level living, secured entry, very important. Security is a big level of importance for us. Each unit will have the elevator access and a stairwell, private garages, mudrooms, the flex room I mentioned on the lower level. Oversized decks, upscale finishes, very similar to what we have at Amira Minnetonka. Large windows and individual climate controls. All these things are feedback that we've taken from our many senior housing projects, and we just try to keep making them better and better and better. So we're very proud of that. We wanted to provide a couple of perspectives just to give you an idea of the scale, the massing, how the rest of the buildings and the surrounding properties look, just to give you a little bit more of an idea. Very, very attractive, heavily landscaped, really a desirable place to live. We added a slide just to show a little bit of project synergy here between architecture, color schemes, architecture, just all the things. They just look very well together. Obviously, this building will be a little less in the height, but we feel that they complement each other very nicely. With that being said, I'll introduce Janelle McLean.
Hi everyone, I'm Janelle McLean, as Dave mentioned, and I lead environmental social governance, which is ESG, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, for United Properties. I'm a dedicated resource, and I collaborate with our development teams to ensure we're thinking of the environment and sustainability elements on the projects, the community, and thinking of how we're governing our projects as well. United Properties integrates ESG elements into every process as far as our development pieces, our operations of our buildings, and really focusing on each element in the E, the S, and the G. I just wanted to give like a high level of ESG by the numbers. So for our senior living portfolio, our buildings are in the top 1% nationally for their ENERGY STAR scores. The EPA has an ENERGY STAR score of 0 to 100 rating that measures how well the commercial buildings perform in terms of energy consumption compared to other properties. Our average score for our senior living buildings is 99.92 out of 100, which just really just understands like we are building our buildings very energy efficiently. We added 126 solar panels, which we installed last year in Mira Minnetonka, the neighboring property. We also prioritize inclusive procurement in all of our projects, and so just in 2023, all projects that were active under development, we spent $19 million with diverse vendors and suppliers. And then lastly, I just wanted to highlight that in 2024, we have earned the Green Lease Leader Gold Award for United Properties. This award really recognizes landlords who incorporate green lease language into their standard leasing practice and template. For the Amira Villas Minnetonka project, I just wanted to highlight the specific ESG elements. So we are enrolled in the Energy Design Assistance Program and showcasing a 21% reduction in CO2 emissions compared to standard code. We will have high energy HVAC systems, all Energy Star appliances, and LED lighting. We'll have native and drought tolerant landscaping with the WaterSense irrigation. We are prioritizing healthy and sustainable building materials, which will be assessed through our Habitable tool called Informed. All of the garages will have EV and prioritizing construction waste, reduce, and recycling. And we will also seek a Minnesota Green Path certification on the project itself. From a social aspect, one thing to note is that any residents that's going to be moving into the Amira Villas, a senior can sell their single-family home, which makes way for the younger families to purchase those homes. And just important to note that 109 of the Amira Minnetonka residences previously resided in Minnetonka. So they're not leaving the area because of this project. They can continue to stay in the city. We will prioritize inclusive procurement on this project and track our diverse spend. And as the social piece is very important for the senior community from a loneliness epidemic perspective, we will have a dedicated resident experience director, which will program the events and activities for residents at both the Amira Minnetonka and then the villas as well. And then just lastly, from a high-level governance perspective, I will be the dedicated resource for this project. We will track all of our energy, water, and waste and emissions, and we will have green lease language incorporated into every residence lease. And the last thing I wanted to point out is just kind of looking at the overarching community impact that our senior living developments have had on the city of Minnetonka. So since 2015, we've created 373 homes, of which 38 were affordable units. This really showcases our thoughtful design to serve a diverse population. We've also had community growth. These homes are occupied by 493 residents, which enriches the local community with new neighbors and supports a vibrant, inclusive city environment. Through job creation, our developments have brought 109 permanent jobs to Minnetonka, which contributes to the local economy and provides stable employment opportunities for the residents. And then the economic benefit, in addition to fostering community and employment, our developments have also generated tax revenue for the city. And lastly, and almost most importantly, would be United Properties has provided life cycle housing options that allow Minnetonka residents to remain in the city throughout all stages of their life, contributing to a stable, long-term community. So the first would be going from the single-family homes into the villas with a larger footprint, then to the Amira Minnetonka apartment, and then finally to the Amira Choice, which is a senior living with services available as well. And I'll just turn it back to Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Janelle.
Thank you.
That being said, I just want to leave you with just a couple takeaways. United Properties opened up Amira Minnetonka in June of last year, so just about 14 months ago. Currently, it's 93% occupied, which is just a testament to what we've been able to deliver for our residents of Minnetonka. The property, the villas, will be managed by Great Lakes Management. That's important to note because the property to the north is also managed by Great Lakes Management, so there's some economy of scale when it comes to the shared services aspect of the management. We have a 12-unit wait list for the largest units, so we're excited to hopefully bring this to market and have a quick lease up if able to. The villas are meeting the demand for a larger home, and that's really what we're seeing. We're seeing that throughout all of our communities. Our residents just want the larger homes. Many of them are coming out of single-family homes. They're coming out of these large yards, large garages. They're willing to give up some for convenience, but maybe not all. So we're hoping these villas just fit that hole that they're looking for just right. Villa residents will have access to all the programming and the amenities found at the Amira to the north. Their key fob will access all the building, public area, common area amenities. Sidewalks will connect to the larger trail system, and just commenting on the positive impacts that Janelle mentioned to the community. We're excited to offer this. It's our intent to begin work on this project as soon as the decision is rendered. We live in Minnesota. The winter season is closely closing in on us, so we appreciate your consideration of the project tonight, and hopefully look forward to adding another beneficial project to the city. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for your report. Before you sit down, I'm going to ask council members if they have any questions of you. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I forgot that I did have a question that I talked to Mr. Funk about this morning, and I don't know if it's better for the applicant or staff. But as regards utilities, on page 10 of our packet, it talks about how the sewer and water system would connect to proposed buildings and existing private water mains located on the south of the site, and also the private sanitary sewer main beneath Lake. So those are private. That's private. It's not just the line from the house. It's actually the sewer main and the water main are private.
That is correct. If that something is.
Ms. Wishnack.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Calvert. I think that typically we don't see a lot of private infrastructure being built. You have to remember when Carlson was built, it was in the mid-1980s, that sort of thing, and all of that area is private utility, and so this would be strange to run a duplicate service basically for this area. So it is remaining private. The HOA will be in charge of the system, and they would join the master agreement between all of the properties, if that makes sense.
It does. And so, I mean, the reason I bring it up is because when you have these, you think about some private roadways, for instance, and when a housing association comes up against, the aging infrastructure, and then they need these very expensive, maintenance or replacement or repair. I just wanted to make sure I understood sort of what we're dealing with here, because is this something that, I'm just wondering if this is something that we need to sort of anticipate, since it was built in the 80s and that's 40 years ago already.
Ms. Wishnack.
Mayor and Councilmember Calvert, I think that this particular HOA operates quite effectively. We have never heard that in the years that I've been here. Maybe the developer could respond specifically, though, to the concern of future issues, because they're also the owners of the apartment buildings to the north. So, or apartment building, to the north. So maybe if you want to respond to that portion of it.
Yeah, I guess I can't necessarily speak to the design of the Master Association, but I can speak to the improvements that were installed as part of the 801. And obviously we collaborate with city staff, city engineering department, to ensure that all the services that we're installing meet the specifications of the city engineering department.
Very good. Thank you. Other questions? Councilmember Wilburn.
Could you go back on the slide which had listed the one more there, because I'm not going to remember the wording. So when you say development costs will prioritize inclusive procurement and track diverse spend, I think I know what that means, but could Could you elaborate a little more on what that means?
Yes, so we track, as far as diverse spend, that would include 6 categories for us, and we track both certified and non-certified businesses. So it would be minority-owned, women-owned, women and minority-owned, LGBTQIA, veteran-owned, or small disabled veteran.
And when you say you track it, so is there like, is this internal tracking, or is this like something that can be seen publicly?
So we'd publish an aggregate report on our diverse spend across all of United Properties in our annual ESG report. And then for the project itself, we haven't published it publicly, but it is something we work on with our construction manager, our GC, and myself to ensure that it's accurate.
Other questions? Council members? Anyone? All right, it looks like we're going to let you off the hook. We reserve the right, if anyone comes up with a question, to ask you to rejoin, but
We won't go too far. Thank you for your consideration.
thank you very much. So, let's see, I think at this juncture, we will take some public comment, but I'm going to be quite restrictive on the public comment. If you recall, many of you attended the Planning Commission meeting, and I watched the Planning Commission. I believe most of my council members did. And the chair of the Planning Commission was very clear that you were to restrict your comments to land use issues. And he requested that, and then nobody did that. I'm not as nice as a Planning Commission chair. So if you are not talking about land use issues, I will ask you to stop. Because tonight we are talking about land use. We're not talking about labor practices or anything like that. That's not relevant tonight. And so if you have land use comments, I'm going to ask you to come forward. If you don't, then we will, we've already had the Planning Commission meeting, which was the official public hearing. So that's been done. And this is an extra opportunity to speak if you have land use issues. If there are no land use issues, we will skip this part of the meeting and go on to council discussion. So does anyone have any comments regarding land use?
Give my report. Again, my name is Tim Stender. I work for the North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters at 700 Olive Street in St. Paul. The North Central States Regional Council of Carpenters represents 27,000 construction workers and their families in the upper Midwest. The bulk of them live in Minnesota and many live in Minnetonka. Our organization is at the forefront of deterrent labor exploitation, misclassification, human trafficking, and other activities that happen on construction sites. We have tracked in detail those who work on construction sites in the Twin Cities metro area for the last decade. I am here regarding the United Properties proposal that passed through the Planning Commission a few weeks back. At that meeting, the NCSRCC and other groups raised concern over subcontractors hired by general contractors on other properties developed by United Properties. For quite some
Excuse me,
time.
I'm going to point out that that is not a land use issue. And, you know, I conferred with the city attorney,
Okay.
and this decision tonight will be based on land use. Now, I'm going to hear you out, but I probably will not hear anyone else out if you're going to insist on talking about, because we are concerned about the issues you're raising,
Yep.
but they're not relevant to the meeting tonight. And I don't want to waste everyone's time. I don't want to give you a public platform on an issue that is not related to the business at hand. So if you want to talk to us about employment issues, then I suggest you go to the website, you look at each of our council members. Our phone numbers are available. You can talk to us individually, but we are not going to waste the time of a public forum to talk about issues that are not relevant to our meeting tonight. I want to be respectful, but I will say that when I watched the Planning Commission, the same instruction was provided, and everyone ignored it. So tonight, we're not going to do it. I will let you finish your report, but then I'm not going to take any other non-land use issue. I'm not going to take any reports on non-land use issues, because we are dealing on a land use issue, not an employment issue.
Okay.
And so I just want to be very fair, very straight. If you want to talk to me personally, my phone number is available on the website. It's my cell phone. Feel free to give me a call.
I appreciate it for letting me finish. Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
for quite some time, the NCS, RCC, and other groups have tried to meet with United Properties to discuss issues of how workers have been treated on their projects, and those requests for any communication have not occurred. So, it was a positive development to learn that United Properties has a tentative agreement to meet with workers to discuss these issues. We are hoping that United Properties will take real steps to change the problems that workers have experienced working on United Properties projects. We need developers to hear workers' experiences and commit to partnering with workers to implement solutions that workers have brought forth to ensure safety and dignity for those who are building these projects. Lastly, we would like to address the letter sent to the Minnetonka Planning Commission by Painting America Incorporated in response to a letter sent by Saytool. In the response from Painting America Incorporated, it states that they take allegations of wage theft, workers' abuse seriously, do not condone such conduct, and investigate all such allegations immediately and deny any wrongdoing. We welcome a public or private discussion regarding Painting America's practice, as dozens of workers have come forward to report problems that include being paid off the books, not being paid overtime, being misclassified, inadequate safety training, and not knowing whether premiums were being paid under workman's comp policies. Several of these workers are willing to come forward. We would also like to offer to share any public record related to Painting America's 2017 consent order through the Department of Labor and Industry so that anyone can compare for themselves Painting America's version of events with the actual record. Our hopes are that United Property is willing to address these issues with Painting America and other subcontractors on their projects to ensure workers are treated with respect and dignity. Thank you for your time, sir.
And thank you. And I want to add that, the reason I don't want to take more public comment is because this is not within the purview of the Minnetonka City Council. There are avenues, and we support, the Fair Labor Standards Act, and any issues that you have should be addressed through the U.S. Department of Labor and the Wage and Hour Division. At the same time, we want to be respectful, but we also do not want our meeting to be taken over and a topic that's not really relevant to the issue at hand be considered. So I'm hoping that I've treated you respectfully.
You have. Thank you.
And again, if you want to talk to me personally or any of my fellow council members, our phone numbers are available on the city website. Please feel free to contact us. I will ask the city attorney if she has anything to add in terms of the appropriateness of my comments to the audience.
I have nothing to add.
All right.
I do
So-
have some supplemental documents if you'd like.
If you'd like to share those, the staff will make sure that the council gets all of those. So we are going to end public comment on this issue right now and bring it back to the council for any comment or discussion. Comments? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, for
Excuse me, you would be out of order, and I ask you to sit down, please. No, it's not relevant to this. And if you'd like to contact me, my phone number is 612-723-3907. Feel free to give me a call. 612-723-3907. That's my cell phone. If you call it right now, it'll ring right here. 723-3907.
We also have a packet.
Please share it with staff, and they'll make sure that we get it.
So one of the things that I just want to make sure people understand, there are rules and there are statutes that govern what we vote on. And the mayor's talked about it, but really, for instance, I mentioned a proposal earlier tonight. It did not violate the letter of the law, but it violated the spirit of the law. I had to vote yes because denying a proposal that was fully conforming can land the city in some legal hot water. That tonight, really, the only thing we can consider is land use. And it's not that workers' rights or unethical practices are not important, but we cannot consider it. And and that's why we're asking you to please, if you have things to tell us, please do I'm happy to talk to you. So I just wanted to let you know that. And also, we don't really, to my knowledge, we hear what you said. I've read the correspondence from both sides, and we, just like in a court case, I'm going to decide it based on the facts. And to me, that's for another day in another arena. So tonight, in terms of adopting the ordinance approving a major amendment to the existing master development plan and adopting a resolution approving the final site and buildings plans with a variance for 8 multi-household residential buildings, I think the use is appropriate. I think the developers heard from the Planning Commission and the council at previous meetings saying that it feels like this site would be appropriate for even more density, just because it is unlike another proposal on the other side of town. It's not butting up against less dense housing or housing that felt less dense previously. And because it's literally right along the 394 corridor, I kind of feel like it should have more density. But I think this is a case in point for people watching that the city council does not, nor does staff, dictate the proposals that come to us. They come to us, and it's almost a passive process. So this is what's coming to us. I think the buildings are attractive. I like that there's a little peaked roof. It's not just flat roof. I love the natives. I like the energy conservation. And so as far as I'm concerned, I think it's well planned, well thought out, and I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvert. Are there other comments by council members? Councilmember Coakley.
I have a comment, Mayor. I just want to say I do appreciate you all coming here tonight, organizing. I think organizing is really the way to go. I do respect what you're saying. However, there is rules and laws that we need to follow as a council. But also, I would encourage you all not just to organize here, but to make sure you organize with the state of Minnesota to get the laws passed, changed if you want to do something different and you want the council to do something different. I'm for the organizing, but I'm also for making sure that we're following the rules and that's set in place for this city, but also know how important it is to make sure that wage theft is not happening on sites. I recently connected back with my son's father, who's a black man, who has spoken to me. I've dropped him off at sites, so I do understand how people are wage theft. I saw it for myself happen to him, so I understand it clearly. Now I really for sure know like this is really happening. I've been told many times I think our city should do more to do something to hear it out more and to support folks who's working in this field, even though we right now cannot do anything, but I'm sure we'll be having a conversation in the future about it. I believe it's in October that we'll be discussing this, and I would love to sit down and have a talk. So call me, email me, invite me for coffee or whatever to have this conversation, because we do need to do something, not just here at the city level, but at the state level. So I would encourage you all to really push at the state level as well if you want changes made, because I seen it, I know it's real. I dropped them off, I picked them up, I know what it is. So I really encourage you all to do more.
Thank you, Councilmember Coakley. Are there other comments? Councilmember Wilburn.
So just to sort of echo the comments of Councilmember Calvert and Councilmember Coakley, again, we are confined by legally what we're allowed to consider when we vote on these, but it's an important issue to many of us, and I'm sure my city manager is tired of hearing me talk to him about wage theft, and I'm the one who pushed to get it on on our study session to discuss what the city can do and what we can't do and how we approach developers. So again, yes, I would say it's important, and hopefully we can do some work at the state level to get some laws changed to give the city more input on who we can work with. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Welborn. Councilmember Foster Bolton.
Yeah, I would reiterate all of my council members' comments and that know that this effort of organizing has brought this to the forefront of all of our minds, and that's a push, and that's something. My years of organizing have taught me that I can't get what I want when I want it, and it's very slow, but know that this has brought us our attention. But also I wanted to ask the developer about the price of the units, like how much are they gonna be per month, like the high end and also the affordable units, like ballpark.
Please come forward.
Well, Mayor, members of the council, we have not decided the actual starting rent rates, so they're not for sale, they're for rent. What we can say is they will be commensurate with the rents at Emera Minnetonka just to the north. So obviously, large units will be a little bit more expensive than what we have there. We've not decided on that. What I can speak to, though, is the 2 units, to correct a staff report, 2 units of 50% AMI will be included in the project.
Very good. You know, a related question, I'm just anticipating it for my fellow council member. What is the highest rent at the neighboring building? Because I think that would provide a context. So if you could give us the highest rent, because we assume that none of these will be lower than the highest in that building.
Yes, Mayor, that is a fair assessment. The highest rent today that we're publishing for Emera Minnetonka is $4,200 per month for the largest unit. Now that is an all-inclusive rate. Emera model is different than other market rate rental or other rental products in general. Our model is an all-inclusive, includes the parking, the phone, the cable, the internet, all those things, the amenity spaces. It is truly a different and a unique model that our residents appreciate.
Very good. Thank you. And
Thank you.
Councilmember Foster Bolton.
Mayor.
Continue.
Just before you go on.
Yep.
The policy requires 10%, so that's 3 units. So I just want
Right.
to clarify that for the
Right.
record.
3 units out of 30.
Total.
Yep. Yep. Very
Okay,
good.
thank you.
So what would be the low end?
I guess
Based on?
It'd be the income qualified homes.
Okay.
At whatever that published rate is by Minnesota Housing.
Okay, thanks.
Very good. All right, thank you. Other questions for the developer? All right, thank you. Oh, you do? Okay, council member, comments or questions? Both. Okay, well, I'll let you continue to stand there. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I noticed on page 139 of the, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed on page 139, it says right now you're currently enrolled in Energy Design Assistance, that program, the Xcel Energy program. Does this mean that that could change, or do you, kind of commit? Are you, definitely going to pursue that program with them?
Yes, we have committed to pursue that program with them.
Great. And then in the Planning Commission, Chair Sewell kind of at the end kind of tossed off a suggestion, which I thought was quite good, to have permeable pavers in the recreation space at least. And this was in response to concerns about, green space. And I thought that was a fantastic suggestion, and it would help make up for the FAR. So I hope that, I wanted to see if that would be something that you would consider for there and elsewhere. So that, I guess, is a question/comment. And then lastly, and you can answer that at the same time as this, similar to the other dashboard question, I know internally have a dashboard, and I looked at your ESG report for 2023. Very impressive. Thank you for putting that online. I appreciate that. I was wondering if there's any opportunity for residents to have access to the sustainability features so that they can also track how their building is doing? Or is that something that's tracked across the entire portfolio?
I'll speak to that.
Yeah.
So through our green lease language in our residence leases, we will be transparent with the energy use and water use and waste use to our residents, and to work together to lower the energy use or just keep aware of what's going on. And they can have access to any of our dashboards if they wish.
Great, thank you. I think that's it for questions right now.
All right. And then, I mean, if you have
Oh,
comments
comments,
too,
yeah.
you're welcome to, absolutely.
Yeah, I like the design for the reasons that have already been stated by my colleagues. I think it's actually smart density and walkability. I actually appreciate not having a row of larger buildings. I know that the hotel was envisioned, but I think having the variegated roof lines and things kind of give it a much more of a neighborhood feel than if we just had another 5-story building, large, massive building. So I think that is a bonus or a plus for me, actually. I like that it opens up housing. I was really pleasantly surprised to see that 190 of the 106 residents of Emera Minnetonka moved from within Minnetonka. So freeing up that space, hopefully for younger families to move in to single-family housing. And so I'm looking forward to having the kind of same sort of ratio here. I definitely hope that that occurs. I definitely commend and very much appreciate the plan to pursue Green Pass certification, especially your, going above and beyond code requirements, the water-wise native plantings and so on. So with that, I am prepared to support the plan.
Thank you, Councilmember Bailey. Other comments, Councilmember Shack?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll talk about land use first. I mean, I think we've talked about this in the concept plan, and it's a good product. I really appreciate kind of the information that you provided about sustainability. One of the things, being a leader in the community, and I'll touch on this in a minute, but in regards to the other issue, but, love to see if you could push the envelope on this project or future projects. It helps us direct other developers to what kind of sustainability features we're seeing. It's a challenge. So, the EV charging stations are great, but can we crank some of this up a notch? And this is a unique project. It's probably harder to get to innovate in a project like this, but I think it's really important that we get kind of out of the comfort zone of native plantings, and those are important, and EV chargers, and try to get it to the next level on sustainability. I don't have any problem with the density, and I'm looking forward to kind of changing the FAR consideration for certain zoning, because if we were all talking about we'd love to see a lot greater density, of course that would have increased the variance required even more. So that we need to kind of think about what we're asking for and how does that align with our code. I do want to the issue of being a leader. I'm glad to hear that United Properties is going to meet. I think we've all got a role to play. I am a business owner and an employer, and I am sure that I have faults in some of my business practices, as unintentional as they may be, and I do my best to make sure that that doesn't happen. And you're working with thousands of people and employees, and it would be, I think, good for your image. You don't want to sit through this, as much as we don't want to hear these allegations either. So to be, to try to be part of the solution, and rather than continuing to have this be a massive problem. So that I am not an expert on any of this, and I would note I'm an attorney, and I do know that allegations are allegations, and due process has to play out, and on top of this not being within our purview. But I just encourage you so that in whatever other city you're at next, this can be a more collaborative conversation rather than such an adversarial one, because it makes everybody feels crappy having to be in this situation. And I do appreciate hearing from folks who have concerns. And I will say one of the things that's really important to me is if we have a worker anywhere in this community that feels like they're not being treated fairly and they don't know where to turn, we can help point them in the, we're not going to be the solution probably, but they can reach out to us or anyone on staff and we can help point them in the right direction. And that may help inform us a little bit more about where, if and where there are problems within the community. So thank you for considering that. And I don't mean, I'll get off my soapbox, but it's really important to me. I think my fellow council members, I agree with pretty much everything that they said, Councilmember Coakley particularly. So I'm in favor of this, but I'm also in favor of just doing better. So I think we can all strive to do better.
Council, other comments? All right, I'll make a few. The two land use things that we are being requested to do, adopt an amendment to a major amendment to the existing master development plan and adopt the resolution approving the final site and building plans with variance. I support those and I will vote yes. This was a difficult meeting for me and I think for all of us. I like to hear what residents and people have to say, but I also think that we have to be mindful of what is the task at hand. And I want to say that I am very sympathetic to the concerns that have been expressed. Wage theft is wrong. Human trafficking is wrong. There are things that happen in our community, good old Minnetonka, where we like to think it's almost perfect. Bad things happen here too. And I want to acknowledge that, and I want people to have the opportunity to feel that we as a council are supporting their concerns. We want workers, we want people to be fairly treated. And as Councilmember Shack said, I'm serious that the number I shared with you tonight, that's my cell phone, call me. I'll pick it up. If I don't pick it up, I will call you back. But it's important, and I am pleased that the senior leadership of United Properties is here. I appreciate the letter that they wrote and indicated that they have reached out and will meet with the various parties that have expressed concern. I think it's important for us as a city to demonstrate that we want to hold people accountable, but we also want to do it in the right way. And saying no to this project tonight because of some very serious but not in our purview concerns would be inappropriate, and the city attorney would tell us that. But we want to do it the right way. We want to be respectful, and we do care about what people have to say and their concerns, and we certainly never want to, we would like to say that there is no wage theft, there is no human trafficking, there are none of these problems in Minnetonka. That's naive. And we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I believe we have the votes to pass this tonight, but I don't think with the passage of this project that this issue disappears. It doesn't, because it's a very important and relevant issue. So I appreciate everyone coming forward, and I thank you for indulging me on me kind of holding the line on what this meeting was about and what it was not about. So thank you for your participation and awareness. So with that, I'm going to turn to my council for a motion on this project, and we'll move forward. But thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Rameli.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to adopt the ordinance approving a major amendment to the existing master development plan and also adopting the resolution approving final site and building plans with a variance for the 8 multi-story residential buildings.
And is there a second? Councilmember Foster Bolton.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Rameli and a second by Councilmember Foster Bolton. Ms. England, please call roll.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Weersum.
Yes, motion carries. The next item is, item 14B, as you know, has been removed from the agenda. Item 15 is appointments and reappointments. We have none. Our final item is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Wilburn.
I move adjournment.
Is there a second? Councilmember Calvert?
I second.
A motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Calvert. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.